Frank Manion is joining us again, senior counsel with the ACLJ, because, Frank, I want to take people through, again, what happened yesterday in the Sixth Circuit and then what happened today in the Fifth Circuit. These are battles that we have been fighting, Frank, for a number. I mean, this case, the Fifth Circuit, dates back to the Obama years of 2015.
Right, that's right. The point you're making, which I think is something that people have to know, is that these pro-life victories don't come overnight. And we weren't getting very many pro-life victories for years. Cases because it's the right thing to do. We make the arguments and we go into court and we get shot down. But with this latest batch of appointments that we're seeing to the federal courts of appeals, it's a whole new day. I mean, whatever ends up happening at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, for pro-life litigators, it is morning in America. And it looks like it's going to be that way for a long time. Because remember, federal judges have lifetime appointments. They don't run for office every 4 years or every 8 years. They're there for as long as they want, as long as God wants them there. And so this is a whole new day. 2 days in a row, we're talking about Court of Appeals pro-life victories. This is unprecedented.
You know, I want you – so yesterday's victory, let's just explain that to people because everybody doesn't listen each day. That was at the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals. We were asked by there's a case out of Tennessee. We were asked by the Tennessee Attorney General directly for the ACLJ to get involved, write a amicus brief in that case. Explain just quickly that victory, and then we'll move on to the new victory today.
Right. In that case, the court ruled in favor of the state of Tennessee with regard to its ban on abortions for race, gender, and Down syndrome diagnosis. Again, there are courts of appeal decisions out there that go the other way, but this is a new day, and this is a huge victory for the cause of life. And today we get news out of Texas, out of the Fifth Circuit, that the states of Texas and Louisiana are allowed to disqualify Planned Parenthood as a Medicaid provider. There are courts of appeals around the country. In fact, the majority of them go the other way. The Fifth Circuit now joins the Eighth Circuit, which of course sets up the classic circuit split, which is the kind of case the Supreme Court takes. These decisions weren't happening 4 years ago, or even 2 or 3 years ago, before some of these recent appointments actually got on the bench. But we are seeing a whole turnaround in what federal courts are going to do on the issue of life. And the other thing to remember is these cases build on factual records that the ACLJ in its litigation over the years, sometimes even in losing litigation, has established. The cases out of Texas and Louisiana are based on the CMP videos, Center for Medical Progress. We represented a board member of the Center of Medical Progress. There were cases filed in Texas against Planned Parenthood for billing practices that we were involved in years ago. All of these are part of the case that we saw today out of Texas and Louisiana, and that's kind of the nature of what we do. It doesn't happen overnight, but we're now seeing the fruits of our labors finally.
So let's move on. So we got the Sixth Circuit. Now to the Fifth Circuit. This was an en banc panel. Cases out of Texas and Louisiana, but it also affects Mississippi now, their opinion. And tell people about we briefly told people about this is a way that states can actively defund Planned Parenthood. Tell people about this victory because it took going to the en banc panel of the Fifth Circuit.
Right, and here's the significance of that. The first time this case was argued, the states lost in a 7-7 tie. En banc means all of the judges of a particular circuit. Normally, courts of appeals make decisions based on 3-judge panels. But when there's an issue of exceptional importance that more members of the court think that they need to weigh in on, they convene the entire court, called the en banc court. And in this case, it was, I believe, 16 judges. Well, a few years ago, before the recent Trump appointments, the case lost. Our side lost 7-7. And now we have an 11-5 victory. Shows the importance of judicial appointments.
You know, I think that this, again, I want to go to Than Bennett, too, because, Than, we look at this. President Trump's nominated and confirmed 6 new judges to the Fifth Circuit. 4 of them were participating yesterday. 1 had to recuse, 1 joined too late, but there are more coming as well to the federal bench. I mean, this is, again, it's breathing new life into the battle for life that the ACLJ has been engaged in since our founding.
Yeah, all across the country, Jordan. I mean, first of all, there are 3 circuit courts that have flipped majorities outright, the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 11th. There's another court like the 9th, which notoriously has been the most difficult circuit court for us to litigate in, that 10 of those 29 judges have now been nominated by President Trump, Jordan, and we've seen good rulings come out of there because, the closer that spread is, the more likely it is that you're going to get a good draw out of it. And then you have cases like the 5th Circuit that Frank just talked about, where it's not necessarily been a flip, but it was a draw and the last time this same case was heard, and now it's an overwhelming 11-5 win. And Jordan, that was without one of the Trump nominees even getting to hear the case because of joining it too late and another being recused. So just dramatic improvement. And again, you want to talk about continuing to work through the end of the deadline here, because the Senate is still in session. They're going to be in session through Christmas, mostly in. They have a number of these hearings that still have to be moved out of committee and then onto the floor. So there's a lot of other things that we're looking at, Jordan, and this is something that you and I discussed yesterday. There's the ongoing election litigation. There's the potential transition that's moving forward. But Jordan, as Frank mentioned, these are judges that would have lifetime appointments on the federal bench. They've been nominated by President Trump. They are currently sitting in the United States Senate, and the United States Senate has full constitutional authority to consider them and confirm them. And no matter how those other things shake out, Jordan, they would sit on the federal bench for the rest of their lives or until they retired. That is absolutely something that is worth fighting for, and it yields, Jordan, the results that you talked about yesterday and that we're talking about again today.
I'd say that, these cases, Frank, to me, it just underscores how you can continue to fight for life and see victories, regardless of who's in the White House in January. These states began this battle under the Obama administration, a hostile administration to life. We may have another hostile administration to life. We don't know yet, but we might in the Biden administration. And if we do, though, these are battles that are waged in court, and the courts have been fundamentally changed because of what President Trump has done. And we're able to take a much more kind of aggressive approach to these cases across the country, because other states will now look at this, states that have kind of pro-life majorities in their state legislatures, their governors, and say, you know what, these aren't just going to be cases legislation that we pass because we feel like it's the right thing to do, and then we're going to have to fight it out in court and probably likely lose. Now it's hey, we can fight this out in court and likely win.
What a refreshing change that is, Jordan. I mean, I can't tell you how many meetings or phone calls or conference calls I've been on over the years with your dad and others at the ACLJ, where we talked about, well, we could bring the case, but we're going to lose. Let's save our ammunition for another court somewhere else. It's a whole new day. I mean, we have a chance in basically every single federal circuit now that we didn't have before, and I'm excited about it.
What you just said there is so important. Again, it kind of underscores what Than said. Every federal circuit. It's not like the Ninth Circuit is not the Ninth Circuit of 2012. Let's put it that way, Frank.
Exactly. I mean, it's not. It hasn't flipped, but the idea of bringing a case on behalf of life in the Ninth Circuit in past years was just sort of tilting at windmills. Well, there's nothing wrong with tilting at windmills, but it's nice to win once in a while, and I think we finally have the chance to do that, and it's a good chance.
I mean, so we're looking at ways states can defund Planned Parenthood. We're looking at, and by the way, they're defunding Planned Parenthood because utilizing those videos they saw of how Planned Parenthood was misusing funds and carrying out abortions the wrong way so that they could sell, body parts, things like that of aborted babies. That's what these states base their defunding on. Why are they defunding this way through Medicaid? And you've got an en banc panel saying you can do that now, and you can do that now in Texas, in Louisiana, and Mississippi. And I think it'll encourage other states to pass similar laws. They'll be challenged by Planned Parenthood, but they know they've got a much more friendly, it's not 100%, but a more friendly federal court system. And then, of course, and we're going to talk about the next segment, all the way to the top at the Supreme Court, too. So, Frank, just quickly, I think this just, it kind of shifts how we're working on all these cases, but it shifts how we'll be approaching, even regardless of who the president is, how we'll be approaching these cases and working with state legislatures and governors that are pro-life to get things done.
Yeah, it's a whole new day for the pro-life cause. It really is, thanks to these judicial appointments going forward.
Think about that. I thank Frank for joining us again.